The planet K-47 Primus was never meant to be a paradise. Its skies churned with eternal storms, and its surface remained in a constant state of erosion under the force of relentless winds. The colony Ark Perseverance had been dispatched with one mission: establish an outpost, extract viable resources, and survive. That last part had been underestimated. The underground shelters were deep, reinforced against the violent weather. Commander Ilara Voss led the colony with a firm resolve, ensuring their dwindling supplies stretched while engineers expanded tunnels for living space. Despite the odds, humanity clung to hope beneath the surface. That hope cracked the moment the first colonist went missing. It started with Lieutenant Marcus Hale, an experienced scout. His last transmission crackled with static. "Something's moving out here. It's not the wind." Then silence. Search teams found only his helmet, its visor shattered. Ilara knew one thing: he hadn't been swept away by the storm. Something had taken him. Grief settled over the colony like a thick fog, but duty prevailed. The miners dug deeper, the technicians maintained power, and the scientists monitored the planet's strange electromagnetic fluctuations. Yet unease crept in as whispers of figures seen in the tunnels spread among the crew. Engineer Samir Patel swore he saw Marcus in one of the dark corridors. "I know what I saw," he told Ilara. He was standing there, his uniform still torn from the storm. But his eyes, they weren't right. Ilara dismissed it as exhaustion, until two more colonists reported the same thing. Then a third person vanished, and the colony's already fragile morale began to unravel. The storm above howled, but something far more sinister was moving below. The tension turned to terror when Marcus Hale returned. At first, relief flooded the colony, until Marcus spoke. His words felt rehearsed, unnatural. He claimed to have no memory of what happened, but his wife, Evelyn, was the first to notice the discrepancy. "Marcus had a scar above his right eye," she whispered to Ilara. "It's gone." Medical scans showed something worse. Marcus's heartbeat was irregular, fluctuating as if adjusting itself. His blood contained traces of an unknown organism, shifting in response to observation. Before further tests could be done, he disappeared into the tunnels. That night, Evelyn screamed. When the others arrived, she was gone. Only Marcus remained, standing in the dim emergency lighting, his face devoid of emotion. "We are not alone," he finally said, his voice layered, as if more than one being spoke through him. Ilara declared an immediate lockdown. No one was to be alone. But paranoia spread like wildfire. Who could be trusted? Who was still human? Surveillance footage showed Marcus, or what had become of him, lingering outside sleeping quarters, watching. Then others joined him. More missing colonists reappeared, their movements too synchronized, their smiles too perfect. The colony had been infiltrated. The scientists worked frantically, analyzing the remains of Marcus's blood sample. The results were chilling. The entities mimicked their hosts at a molecular level, feeding on the colony's fear and isolation. "We have to burn them out," Samir said, gripping a makeshift torch. But if the creatures had learned to become them, would fire be enough? The next day, Commander Ilara found herself face to face with her own reflection, walking toward her. The duplicate moved with eerie precision, every motion a mirror of her own. "You don't belong here," it said, smiling too widely. Panic spread through the remaining humans. The creatures had grown bolder, infiltrating the remaining survivors by mimicking loved ones. The colony was fracturing, trust eroding faster than the tunnels themselves. Ilara made a decision. They had to reach the surface. The storm was deadly, but the underground had become far worse. Gathering the remaining survivors, she planned their escape. But not everyone standing with her was real. Reaching the surface required activating the old mining lift, an exposed, dangerous route in the middle of the storm. As they moved, the infiltrators revealed themselves. They no longer needed to mimic. They were hunting. Evelyn, or what had become of her, lunged at Samir, her fingers extending into dark tendrils. Screams echoed as fire and bullets tore through the creatures, but they did not die easily. The survivors ran through the collapsing tunnels, the lights flickering as power fluctuated. The storm outside raged, the wind howling like a chorus of voices. Was it the storm, or was it them? Ilara's pulse pounded as she shot one of the creatures, only for it to split and reform into two. They were evolving. The lift came into view, but their escape was cut off. A wall of doppelgangers stood in their way, their identical faces grinning in unison. Ilara clenched her fists. "We're not going down without a fight." Samir hurled an incendiary charge, the explosion momentarily scattering their pursuers. In the chaos, the group sprinted to the lift, slamming the controls. The platform ascended, but not all of them made it. Below, the creatures watched in eerie silence, their gazes too knowing. As they rose to the surface, a terrible realization dawned on Ilara. What if they had let one of the creatures come with them? On the surface, the storm blinded them. They barely made it to an emergency shelter where an old distress beacon still functioned. As they waited for rescue, Ilara noticed Samir trembling. He looked at her with fear in his eyes. "Ilara," he whispered, "where's your scar?" Her heart stopped. Had she ever had a scar? The others stared at her, their hands tightening on their weapons. Ilara reached up instinctively to touch her temple. There was nothing. She thought back to the moment in the tunnels, the fight, the doppelgangers, the chaos. Had she been replaced? Had she made it out at all? Her fingers trembled as she tried to remember every step of their escape. The wind screamed outside, the shelter creaking under its force. The distress beacon flickered, its weak signals stretching into the void, calling for salvation that might never come. Then, softly, someone laughed. It was quiet at first, but it spread, rippling through the group. One by one, they all started laughing. Ilara took a step back. What's so funny?" Samir grinned, but his teeth were just a little too white, his smile just a little too perfect. "We all made it out," he said, voice layered with something wrong. The storm howled outside, but it was nothing compared to the silence that followed inside the shelter. They had brought something with them,